This is exactly what the Eagles needed as the Eagles went into enemy territory last night and showed the world that they have arrived and are flying high in no short part of their QB1, stepping up to the moment and putting on one of the best single game performances by an Eagles QB. We'll break down everything and more about the Eagles' performance against the Vikings here on another edition of Eagles Digest. What's going on, guys? Alex Brooks back here on Eagles Digest to give you guys a daily dose of Eagles content every day of the week. We're going to give you everything surrounding this Eagles and Vikings game, and we're going to talk about QB1 because he deserves his flowers. But before we get into this video, before we get into everything surrounding this Eagles-Vikings game, if you guys are not subscribed to this channel, if you are a part of the 97.2% who aren't subscribed to this channel, let's hit that subscribe button. Let's comment down below. Want to know your thoughts on this Eagles-Vikings victory for the Philadelphia Eagles in Week 7 and how you think this offense is looking going into Week 8 against the New York Giants. But getting right into this video, as we talk about number one, quarterback one, Jalen Hurts, had one of the best single game performances of his career, one of the best single game performances by an Eagles quarterback, and it is not even close. I mean, just looking at what he was able to do against the Vikings, against a Brian Flores-led defense who coming into the game was the number 2 ranked passing defense, and he showed just why he should be mentioned in those realms of the big name quarterbacks like the Patrick Mahomes, like the Josh Allen, like the Lamar Jackson. He can put a team on his back, and he showed it against the Vikings last night. And just looking at his stats from last night, 19 for 23, 326 passing yards, and 3 passing touchdowns. He also had a perfect passer rating of 158.3 for Jalen Hurts. I mean, just an unreal performance from the quarterback one of the Philadelphia Eagles when the Eagles needed it most. The questions coming into this game was, where is this passing offense? Where is this offense looking? What is the identity for this Philadelphia Eagles offense? Is Jalen Hurts not as good as a passer as we thought he was in the past years? Well, he reminded everybody that he is one of the best quarterbacks in this league, and he can lead a team by passing the ball. He didn't have any rushing yards against the Vikings. He had negative 10 rushing yards. So all of his yards were by throwing the ball and throwing the ball to one of the best wide receiver duos in Devonta Smith and A.J. Brown. And a little bit more on Jalen Hurts and his performance. This was from Josh Alper at Pro Football Talk saying, the feeling of losing, simple as that, Hurts said via Zach Berman of theathletic.com. I know there's a clip to confirm where I said we're not losers anymore. That's all I could think about during the last 2 weeks. I think definitely there was some fire there, but within that fire, you have to be the calm. And that's just a classic Jalen Hurts quote from the QB1, and, you have to stay calm within the fire. He just has the best quotes out here. I mean, he is just wise among his peers, and he really just sounds like he has been playing in the league for 50 years. But just looking at his performance, 19 for 23, 326 yards, 3 touchdowns on the day. And just looking at these next-gen stats, I mean, these are very impressive because we've seen that he has been able to do well with the deep ball, as we see to Devonta Smith yesterday, to A.J. Brown. And then when we're looking at, he's good at the short passes, but we haven't seen a lot of the intermediate ones, like the plus 20. Well, you see right there is plus 20, there's plus 30, there's deep passes. Like, there is so many different types of passes from Jalen Hurts yesterday, and really that's a credit to Kevin Patullo in trusting his quarterback. I mean, I've seen all over social media today talking about Jalen Hurts and just taking the handcuffs off of him. Like, trust your quarterback. He knows how to lead a team to a championship. He's done it last year. When they stopped Saquon in the Super Bowl, Jalen Hurts had the game of his life in the Super Bowl. We saw it a couple years ago in Super Bowl 57. He had one of the best games of his career. And now yesterday, he did it once again, and he can show each week. He doesn't need to put on this performance for the Eagles to win every single week, but if he's able to do this at a consistent basis, I mean, really watch out for the Philadelphia Eagles moving forward, because this is going to be so lethal, because it's going to open up the passing game and it's also going to open up the running game, and Saquon is going to get going, and then defenses are not going to be able to scheme against both Jalen Hurts, Saquon Barkley, A.J. Brown, and Devonta Smith when they're all clicking. So it was just a really all-around good performance from Jalen Hurts and this passing offense. Definitely really thought that Jalen Hurts really stole the show among the league. He really showed why he can silence all of these critics. I mean, you're seeing coming into this game, people didn't even think that Jalen Hurts had this game in him. People were saying that he wasn't going to lead by passing. He's more of a running quarterback and can pass a little bit, but he can carry a team. I don't understand why people don't understand that. He knows that this Philadelphia Eagles team can win by running, and they can also win by passing. But just looking at what this win means for the Philadelphia Eagles, 5-2 now, and winning 4-1 in the conference, losing against the Giants last week. But the Eagles are in a good spot right now. They're 5-2. They are a game and a half on the Dallas Cowboys in the standings right now. But I'm just going to ask you guys the question, and I want you to comment down below. What does this mean for the season moving forward? I definitely think that the passing game is getting more creative as the season goes on. I definitely think that Jalen Hurts is showing why he is one of the top quarterbacks in this league, and that the Eagles can rely on him throwing the ball. And I also think that A.J. Brown and Devonta Smith are getting so much better over this time, especially in this Vikings game. And looking at the stats so far for Jalen Hurts on this season, now with that performance in 7 games, he has 11 passing touchdowns, 5 rushing touchdowns, so 16 touchdowns on the year. It says interceptions are 0. He actually only has 1 interception right there. QBR is 60.8, 136 completions on 195 passing attempts. And Jalen Hurts definitely just showed why he is one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. And looking at from yesterday, who had the highest PFF grade? It was Jalen Hurts. Passing grade, Jalen Hurts. Big time throws, Jalen Hurts. ADOT, Jalen Hurts. Passer rating, Jalen Hurts. Most yards per attempt, Jalen Hurts. I mean, he just showed just everybody. Like he came out of nowhere, really, because before this, he was just kind of just getting the offense going a little bit. He had some flashes against the Rams game, but that was just more of a second half resurgence from the Eagles offense. And looking at what he was doing in the first half, kind of was a little teetering a little bit, but then once the second half came in, they just opened the playbook and sent Smitty deep, sent AJ deep, and they really connected on what they needed to do on the offensive side of the ball. And going into that conversation about Devonta Smith and A.J. Brown, this was crucial for both of these guys, especially A.J. Brown, to get him involved and get him involved in a big way, not just for 1 touchdown, for 2 touchdowns and 120 yards. Looking at the stats from last night's game, Devonta Smith, a career day, 9 receptions, 183 yards, and a touchdown. And then A.J. Brown, 4 receptions, 121 yards, and 2 touchdowns. And this definitely just gets me excited about this Eagles offense, because when you're looking at it, the fact that A.J. Brown had 121 yards on 4 receptions, that is absolutely nuts. 4 receptions, 121 yards. If he's able to get more incorporated in this offense, say he gets 10 receptions, is he going to go for 200 plus yards? I mean, this is insane. And then Devonta Smith, him coming out of really nowhere here, just getting him involved. I mean, they're showing why Devonta Smith and A.J. Brown are one of the most lethal wide receiver duos. I can't speak today. Wide receiver duos in the NFL. Just seeing how big this is for this Eagles offense, just having the confidence in this Eagles team to now know that they can pass, and that's going to give defenses a little bit more of, an urgency to stop this pass, and that's going to only going to help Saquon Barkley and this Eagles offensive line. I definitely think, just looking at more on Jalen Hurts' performance. This is Tim McManus at ESPN saying Philadelphia flipped that script against Minnesota as Hurts threw for 240 yards and a pair of scores in the second half. He averaged 20 yards per pass attempt over that span, the highest rate in the second half by a quarterback with at least 10 attempts since Kirk Cousins in Week 11 of 2016, according to ESPN research. And I'm looking at just what the haters are saying now. I saw it was very quiet on Twitter. It was very quiet. There was not much of, Jalen Hurts is this or Jalen Hurts is that. Jalen Hurts showed that he's a top quarterback in this league. There's, point blank period. I mean, he can do it in the run. He can also do it in the pass, and he showed it why against the number 2 passing defense. The number 2 passing defense and Brian Flores in Minnesota against that crowd, against his former mentor in Carson Wentz, the quarterback that was ahead of him when he got drafted here. I mean, just all of those storylines mixing together, and he was able to put on that performance, just a tip of a cap for QB1. And that's why I'm always going to stick with Jalen Hurts as the just going to defend him as the quarterback of the Philadelphia Eagles, because I know he has that type of performance in him on a weekly basis. And if he's able to do this, I mean, watch out for the rest of the league, because Jalen Hurts is coming, and he's coming for a back-to-back Super Bowl. But that's going to do it for another edition of Eagles Digest. Appreciate all the support you guys are giving us. Give us a subscription. Comment down below. Hit the bell that you are notified of all of our videos. We really appreciate all the support. Want you guys to let us know what you think of Jalen Hurts and how he stole the show against the Minnesota Vikings. Hope you guys have a great rest of your night. Go Birds and fly, Eagles, fly.